Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Friday in, I don't know, May sometime. It's you lose track of it. It's where this year's gone. I have no idea. It has disappeared completely. It's all a bit mad. Good morning, Jane. Good morning, Maria. As always, please pop a hello in the comments if you're watching. I know already that I'm not talking to myself, so it's all good. Good morning, Jay.
You can talk to me?
It is. I can talk to you if you want. Yeah, we can have our usual carry-on film conversation. It is a bit dreary here in the south of England, in Hampshire. It's not too cold, but it's dreary. It's a grey old sky out there. Let's hope it gets warmer and sunnier, because Eric likes the sun and he's very unhappy that there is no sun to sunbathe in. Good morning, Emma. Good morning, Sasha. Good morning, Janet. Good morning, Christine. Good morning, Kerry. Lots of lovely people. Welcome, welcome. I have already had my coffee this morning, so hopefully the power of speech is with me today. Good morning, Sue.
Wouldn't bank on that.
No, I wouldn't bank on it either. Christine, sunshine and blue skies here in North Dorset. Oh, hopefully it's coming our way, Christine. Hopefully it's sending it across. Good morning to Pete and Eric. Pete is working hard. But he got that look on his face that he's concentrating.
Why is that funny?
And Eric's just gone out to the garden to see if there's any sunshine, I think. Good morning, Nikki. Good morning, Eva. Is he sunbathing? Yeah. He's got sunshine.
Yes.
Okay. It's all good. Eric has sunshine, so we're all good. Sue, Somerset is shades of grey. Yeah, that's what we've had this morning. Trudy, good morning. Making the tea. It's a good plan. Cake for breakfast? I think we should. I haven't had any cake yet, but I'm ever hopeful. I haven't actually got any in the house. I know it's a little bit embarrassing, isn't it? I have no cake in the house. May have to remedy that shortly. I'm feeling a bit of a scone day today.
Scone?
No, not scones. Scones.
Scone?
It's a bit of a running dilemma in a house. Scone or scone? Scones. Good morning, Sarah. Getting ready for a London day out. Have a fun time. Going to see the Stonehenge exhibition by any chance? We're going to see that in July. Jane says, it's bright and sunny in Chadwell Heath. Got a machine load on, fingers crossed. So it's a good day for drying. Nikki, a mug cake. Yeah, but that's only one portion, Nikki. If you make a whole cake, then there's more than one portion. Hello to you, Jill. Just coming home from a lovely beach walk. Fantastic. Eva, Freya will only walk with me if it's wet. It's foggy today, so she had lots of fun and refused to do a short walk. Eric won't go out for a walk if it's wet. If the ground's wet, he won't go out. Good morning, Joe. First day off from new job. Get to see. Hope the new job is going well. Sarah, tickets booked, excited. Excellent. It is supposed to be a very good exhibition, so enjoy. Tess, morning, just getting crumpets and tea. You couldn't really get more British than that, could you? Tea and crumpets. Do like a bit of tea and crumpets. Sounds like a good plan. I'm really hungry now.
I like crumpet.
You like crumpet. Yes, thank you for that. So welcome to Friday morning. I am going to attempt to stick to one subject so that I don't run out of time. We'll see how we go. Jane says 4 doggy wellies required. Her son's always trying to get us to buy shoes for Eric, but I don't think that would go so well. Good morning, Karen. So today I was thinking, like you do, what should I talk about? And I was pottering about in the garden, and I thought, dirt. That's what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about dirt. A jar of dirt. Yep. Karen's making a chai latte. That's my favourite, Karen. That is my favourite drink. Do like chai latte. And chai latte cake's nice too. Yes, so today I thought I would talk about dirt, because I thought I haven't turned my phone sound off. That's why we're getting soft cell. Let's turn you off. There are a lot of ingredients, hopefully I'm going to cover some of them in the coming weeks, that we have freely available to us, and by free I mean free, that we can work magic with. And dirt is the obvious one. Christine makes me think of Pirates of the Caribbean. That's what's going through my head, Christine. I've got a jar of dirt. Eva, heading to the grocery store without having eaten breakfast, it will be dangerous. And I don't think there's any probably by cake. I think that's definitely by cake. Yeah, it's bad news to head to the grocery store on an empty stomach, that's for sure. But yeah, I thought dirt, it's one of those ingredients that we all have access to, easily available, but you can work some fantastic magic with it. So that's what we're going to look at today. So if you have worked magic with dirt, earth, soil, whatever you want to call it, pop it in the comments. Let us know how you got on. Let us know what you use it for, and we will share, because we'd like to learn together, obviously. Good morning, Maharet. Good morning, Christine. And that's what we'll be talking about today. Good old dirt, which comes in many forms, obviously. Some of you lucky people have light soil. Not like us, we have thick clay soil in our garden. And obviously the type of soil you have in your garden will dictate what type of plants you grow as well. There are a lot of plants that don't like our soil, like lavender, hates growing in our soil. So there are different types. There's a whole mineral structure to it all, which is all a bit sciencey, which I'm not going to get into, because dirt is dirt and you can work magic with it, whatever type of dirt it is. But we'll have to count up afterwards and see how many times I say dirt throughout the entire talk. Good evening, Sue from New Zealand. Beautiful place, apparently. My dad lived there for a while and absolutely loved it. So some soil is light and sandy and easy to dig. Other soil, like mine, is totally thick and clay. But whatever type it is full of magic. Now, obviously, soil is aligned with the element of earth. And this information has come from one of my books. And I'll get the book and wave it, because otherwise people tell me off for not waving it about. The element of, got too many elements of fire there. There we go. The element of earth. The element of fire comes out in June. The element of water is being written at the moment, and the element of air will follow. But all of this information is in the book. But good morning, Tony. Dirt, earth, it is so easy to work with, and it is aligned with the element of earth. So it carries all of those characteristics that the element of earth does, but we can add it to it, any kind of spell working, and there's all sorts of things you can do with it. I think it holds that certain life force. Earth feeds the plants. Not only does it feed plants, flowers, trees, but it's used to grow our vegetables and fruit in as well. So it has, for me, a really strong life force. Is it the most powerful ingredient? Probably not, but I think it is very, very special. It's jam-packed full of nutrients and minerals and all sorts of things that feed the plants. But for me, it is the life force. It is Mother Earth. It's Mother Nature, all encapsulated in that one ingredient. And you can tap into that to work your magic with. Let's get these up. Jane used a jar of sieved compost mixed with charcoal and salt to bury grievances. Nice. Bad memories. Not nice that you've got grievances. Nice that you used it to work with. When it was full, I tipped it all into a hole in the garden to say goodbye to all the bad stuff. Really worked. And now those things don't bother me anymore. That's a perfect way of working with it. Absolutely perfect way of working with it. Good morning, Luna. Joe has very clay soil. Keep joking, can make a pot. It made me laugh actually when we were having our renovations done and they dug the foundations for the extension and they were digging a hole and literally they just sliced chunks of clay out and perfect straight sides for all of the foundations because it's clay. So none of the soil fell back in the hole. It was like digging out Lego blocks or something. Maria burned my sigil outside through the ashes near the jasmine. Nice. I'm assuming that's the sigil from the Kitchen Witch ritual last weekend, which is over on the Kitchen Witch YouTube channel if you missed it. I think that earth is really useful for all types of magic. Now you can add the soil to all sorts of things, spell pouches, witch bottles. You can use it to for sachet powder to feed your spell pouches. You can roll your candles in it. You can sprinkle it on your altar. But you can do other things with it as well. Obviously, the soil is out there, so you can draw sigils in the soil. You can bury things in it. You can mix the soil with water and use it to draw sigils. You can use the soil to draw sigils or even to draw a circle or a pentagram or whatever you need at the time. It's really, really multi-purpose and really useful. Willow Moon. Things don't need to be powerful to be effective. Absolutely. Gentle kiss is as effective as a grand gesture. You are quite right. Jane, earth and compost are teeming with microbes and little critters. They're Mother Nature's invisible workforce. They are indeed. In fact, probably don't want to be thinking too much about all the stuff that's in it. No, we know what you mean, Willow Moon. Don't worry. Charlie, morning all. Enjoying my cup of tea. Or cup of mud, as my nan would say. Now wondering where that phrase comes from. I do find it grounding. I would imagine it's the colour of the tea. If the tea's really strong, then it's mud-coloured, I guess. I could have, Karen, could have made dishes from the clay in my garden. I could, absolutely. Tony, is it okay to keep sigils because I want to have a go at pyrography wood burning to make? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. You can hang on to them, no problem. Christine, to aerate your soil, that is clay, add some small gravel and also some good old muck from the cows. Yes, most of our flower beds we've done that with. We have over the years, we've aerated it, dug in lots of grit, that's the word I'm looking for, and lots of compost, lots of bark chippings and all sorts. Mulches have all been dug in, but where they were digging for the foundations for the extension hadn't ever been dug over, so it was solid clay. You'll make me say that word, Maria, aren't you? Sadhu Guru is traveling around the planet visiting leaders to help save the soil at the moment, and it is something that we do need to be concerned about. There are big eco problems on our planet. Basically, human beings are a bit of an infestation, and we haven't done much good to the planet, so all of it needs to be looked after. But I thought Earth is a really easy one because it is available and you can use it. Everyone can use it. It is incredibly grounding. And I think there's a lot of us that probably when we need to ground, we'll just go and stand outside, put our feet on the ground or put your palms flat on the soil to ground, to rid yourself of excess energy. Because if anybody has experienced that whole airy-fairy feeling, usually after you've done any kind of energy work, if you've done any energy work, ritual work in magic, anything that builds your energy levels up, afterwards you need to ground, because if you're left with that excess stuff all whizzing around, it will give you a whacking headache for a start. So grounding by going outside and literally just putting your palms on the ground and draining the excess energy, or standing on the soil draining your excess energy, is perfect. Grounding's so easy to do. It's such a straightforward thing, but so necessary. All of us can step outside, and you don't even need to be on bare soil, whether it's grass, whether it's even pavement, because there's soil underneath. It's just a case of tapping into that. So grounding, I think, is a really essential exercise to get into, particularly when you've done energy work of any kind. You can do it even when you're at work and you've got a bit kind of just go and stand outside, or even, if you can't get outside, just go and stand in the toilets for a minute and connect with the earth beneath the building, just to ground yourself. Nikki, we have spent 5 years rebuilding the soil on our property. It does take time, doesn't it? It does take time, but it is really worth it. Really worth it. Tess, I like your fairy hair strands, very pretty. You usually get mine in the summer. They last for ages. First time I ever had them. The Kitchen Witch posse were here. Most of them were here at the weekend. So I bought some fairy hair strands. You can see, there. We had a heck of a job messing about with them, and we actually failed miserably, all of us. It was very frustrating. Then my daughter came round on Sunday, and she managed to nail it. So thank you, Emma, for getting my fairy strands in. Hairy strands?
Your hairy strands.
My hairy strands.
Okay.
I think I need another coffee. Definitely lack a cake. But well, we had fun and games with them anyway. Maria, I've always felt it needs. Oh, absolutely, mutual respect. The earth supports us. Without the soil, we wouldn't have anywhere to stand, for a start. Without the soil and everything that it provides for us, we wouldn't have food, really. So, it is about mutual respect. We have to look after it, and it will look after us in return. Jane, makes me sad every time I walk past a front garden that's been concreted or tarmacked over. That piece of earth will probably never see the sun again. I hear you, but I also, living on the edge of a city where parking is an absolute nightmare. There are a lot of houses around here that have had the front garden tarmacked so that they can park their car. It is horrible from the eco point of view, but it is a necessary evil if you live where I am. Our front garden's not big enough to park a car, but we've made up for it in the back garden. The back garden, we have lots and lots of plants, as many as we can squish in. But there is, apparently, isn't there? There is a kind of loss of front gardens, particularly lawns that people have concreted over. And I'm sure a lot of it is the necessity to park. But yeah, it's not so good. Tony, found a lovely way to ground yesterday. Walked round to the corner shop and eat ice cream. I like it. That's my kind of grounding. Karen, potters always seem grounded people. Must be having their hands in clay all the time, as it's very relaxing. Yeah, and I think gardeners as well too, professional gardeners as well, would have that kind of level energy. I know it is my sanctuary. My garden is my sanctuary. And if I'm having a bad day or my head's about to explode, just going out into the garden and breathing and connecting with the energy from the earth, it is my sanctuary, definitely. Maria, I have patio slabs. However, if I have no pot stand underneath the pots, the roots grow into the caps underneath. I think it is, if you are in that situation where you do have paving or patio or whatever it might be, the soil is still underneath it. Even the most obnoxious, ugly 1970s concrete car park will have soil and earth underneath the foundations. It's still there. It might take you a bit more effort to connect with it, but that soil earth energy is still there underneath. Jane, mine too. Can't shift some of them now. That's the thing, isn't it? Look, do you want a cup of tea? That would be nice. Thank you. Can you make a cake while you're out there too? Eva, I always need to ground out in the garden after a kitchen witch ritual. Yeah, me too. Otherwise, I wake up next morning, massive hangover feeling. It's the laughter. Laughter rage. Oh dear. Laughter raises, so much energy that you need to ground afterwards, because otherwise it can. Yeah, Maria would like a tea as well, please. No, nothing for Christine. Bless, he's so well trained. So well trained. Oh. So, earth. Grounding. Stability too. If I'm working any kind of magic for the house, for the home, then I always include a little bit of earth from the garden, and usually a leaf from the garden as well, and a cobweb from the house. But that's, I always like to include a bit of earth, a bit of soil, because it's grounding, because it's stability, but also because it's from my garden, so I associate it with my home. I think it brings strength with it as well. Soil has a huge amount of strength to it from a practical level as well as a magical level. But I think it is about connecting with that energy. And it doesn't matter whether you are knee deep in mud at a rock festival or standing on a concrete paving in a modern shopping centre. That earth is beneath you. It is there at some point underneath your feet. However many layers down, but it is there underneath your feet. Soil, earth, dirt, mud, graveyard dirt, which we'll come on to in a minute, clay, all different forms, but all the same source. It's all there. Hannah, off to be in the dirt now at the allotment. Fantastic. What a lovely way to spend your day. Christine, there is a test to see if your dirt is healthy. If you dig in, it's full of worms, then you have healthy dirt. We have worms, thank you. Thankfully. Do I want a bun? We've got currant buns, haven't we? Yes, smart. It all works, doesn't it? That's the ecosystem working. That's the worms doing all of their work to process the soil. It's all very complicated, but it all works together hand in hand. This is Mother Nature doing her thing. It's incredible. It is absolutely incredible. But let's have a look at what soil can do for your magical workings. I always go with your intuition. Either if you're working a spell about something specific, have a think, open up your mind to what ingredients you need. Or if you want to work specifically with earth, connect with that soil and ask it what it can do you for. Oh dear, it's going to be a long day. Ask the soil what magic it can help you with. Make that connection with it. And actually that leads me to a quick sort of side thing. Every day I step outside and I connect with the energy of the day. Every day I step outside and I connect with the energy of the soil, the earth beneath my feet. Apart from the fact that it gives you a good grounding start to the day, I think it really helps to connect with the energy that you live on, the energy beneath your house, the energy beneath your feet. I think it really helps you to feel stability, to the connection, the level-headed kind of I'm home kind of feeling. If you connect with the energy of the soil beneath your house, then you've got that kind of connection. I'm using the word connection, but that is so important. It keeps you grounded, it keeps you level, but it keeps you tagged to your home. You've got that kind of give and take kind of conduit, that's the word, with the ground that you live on and with your home. So I think it's really important. I do it every day because every day there will be a different energy. Every day you'll get a different feel about what's coming for the day or what you need to do for the day, or just to kind of feel that connection to your home, basically. So I do that on a regular basis, and I think it's really important. Whenever you go out to a ritual, if we do a kitchen witch ritual somewhere in a field or a forest or wherever we might be on the beach, I always make a connection to the land that we're standing on, and make a connection to the soil beneath my feet. Firstly, to ask permission from the ancestors and the spirits and the energy that are there, that it's okay for us to do the ritual. But also to make that connection to say, hey, I'm here. I want to connect to your energy so that we can be a partnership in this ritual. I think that's really important as well. Willow Moon, I know that thousands of years ago there was a forest where my house is now. Rather nice energy, very, very nice. I live by the sea, so this is quite a big port, so it's had man living on it from Neolithic, Paleolithic, I can never remember which way around it is. So there's a huge amount of history on the land beneath my house, and it can be really interesting to find that connection. And to see what's actually happening. Fascinating. Eva at the grocery store. Do I want strawberry mousse cake or strawberry cream cake? Both, Eva. Both. Yeah, Maria's made me do it. Both. Jane, our house is built on a solid base. I wonder if that's why it's full of busy portals, because it's earthed. Only one way to find out, Jane. Connect with it and ask it. It is fascinating. Once you make that connection with the ground beneath your home, you won't look back. I think it's a really important connection to make. Jane, the beach always makes me feel alive and full of energy. Oh, me too. I love the ocean is where I go to release. But then you've got sand beneath your feet there, and rocks and pebbles. Another very, very grounding, earthing medium. Tess, I have a house and garden. Just wondering how would this connection work if you lived in a flat with no garden and were a few floors up? You can go to a nearby park. You can also go down to the ground outside the buildings, because obviously the flats, even if you're several floors up, it's going to have a base. Your third floor flat's not just floating in the air. Thank you. Look, he's cut it up into little bits. Thank you. Obviously, your third floor flat's not floating in the air, so it will have a base to it. So you can either go downstairs and stand by the main entrance and connect with the energy there, or you can use your connection to the walls. So the walls of your flat will go right down to the ground. So connect with the walls, the structure of your building, whether it's brick or concrete, breeze block, whatever it is. Connect with the energy of the walls, and then you can channel downwards to the earth. So there's various different ways of doing it. But to connect with the actual your building, everything has an energy. Everything has an energy source. And every building has an energy source. So my home has an energy source. It got a bit lost and confused when we were having the renovation done. And my huge, huge thanks to the very lovely lady that found out the name of our house. Once I found out that our house had a name, going back to when it was built, everything fell into place. It made such a huge difference for me. So our house now has a name. So that added to the energy of it as well. But every building has. So even if it is the modern shopping supermarket or shopping mall or whatever it is, that building will have an energy. So you can tap into that. So if you are in your flat, I would tap into the actual building first. Hannah, love the beach in winter. Yes, fantastic. It's not so many people there either. Emma, when I watch the grass for a while from my window, I see Celtic symbols form. I then thank the earth for its energy. Plants can give us so many different messages, can't they? And so many different visual images and symbols. Maria, yes, would connect with the outside. Yep. So you need to see the sea. It is definitely one of those places where you can get lost, literally, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. Christine, I connected to the earth in the house we're in. Knew we had a Roman place here, then found out it was a Roman settlement. Yeah, Ayres has got Roman connections too. We were one of the main roads from the port to London, Londinium. So it's fascinating though, isn't it? It's really interesting when you can make that connection and find all of those histories. Jane, being a sort of boundary between elements, would a beach be a good place for hedge riding? Absolutely, because it's an in-between place. That boundary, that edge between the ocean and the beach, it is an in-between place, and any in-between place is really good for dipping into the other worlds. If you can't actually get to the ocean, you can use visualization and meditation to reach that point. But yes, absolutely perfect for hedge riding. Very true, Maria. All the materials of the home will have earthing energy from the material. Bricks, brick dust is brilliant to work magic with. Bricks, breeze blocks, cement, concrete, it's all got an earth energy to it, absolutely. Willow Moon, I need a house name as my post keeps going astray. After much thought, I decided on Albion. Perfect, absolutely perfect. Tony, don't have the sea here, but do have the River Severn. Nice. Rivers are really, really good to work with as well. Joe, I used to sit against an outside wall of my flat when I couldn't get outside, while visualizing energy moving between me, the wall, and the ground. Perfect. Absolutely perfect, because the wall goes straight down to the ground. So brilliant. When I come into my house, put my hand on the wall just to make that connection, to sort of say, oh yeah, I talk to my house. To put my hand on the wall and go, I'm back, it's okay. Or I'll tell it when I'm going away. And when we found out the name of the house, thank you so much. That was so important. It was like lights going off, you know, it's like the house went, thank goodness. All connections, all about connections. Karen, the Trafford Centre, a big shopping centre, is so draining. It saps the life out of you. You can feel it pulling it through your feet. I had to stop going as it made me so ill being there. I think that is one of the things. The big shopping centres, anywhere where there's lots of people, we're on the edge of a city. When you go shopping and there's lots of people around, it can be really draining. That's when your shields come into play. But even the Trafford Centre will have an energy to it. It's the people inside it that are draining the energy, but the actual building will have an energy as well. It's probably quite depressed, but it will be. Jane, my husband would approve. He supports the blackies. Sue, our bungalow's called TARDIS. Small on the outside, a little bigger on the inside. Brilliant. Jane, I love connecting with the ancestors. When I sieve my compost, all sorts of flinty bits turn up. Yes, we've got quite a lot of little bottles, broken medicine bottles, and little earthenware ones that we found dug up from the garden, bits of pottery and things. It is fascinating. Hannah, the River Severn is absolutely connected to the sacred goddess Sabrina. Our daughter's middle name is Sabrina, after Sabrina Fair, the nymph, water nymph. Anyone that's doing our British Goddesses course, we will be working with Sabrina as well. Fascinating goddess. Maria, Just Shield. Yes, it is. If you are in a big shopping centre, it is the energy of the people that will cause you to feel overwhelmed. Karen, it was built on fields that we used to play in when we were little. You'd never know they'd been there. If you can get past the energy of all the people that are there, you will be able to connect with the energy of the fields that were there below it. Might take a little bit of effort though, getting through all of that concrete and energy. Jane, when I'm upstairs in my witch room, either pulling in energy or grounding, I send tendrils of light up and down via the walls as they are connected to the ground. Have a problem sending them through air and floorboards. It's funny, isn't it? Sometimes I struggle if I'm doing a grounding exercise and I'm upstairs. I do struggle to send roots down. So if you're not familiar with the standard grounding technique, one of the most popular ones is to visualize that you are a tree. So you send roots that grow from your feet out downwards into the soil. If you've got a floor beneath you, it's very difficult sometimes to visualize those roots growing through the floorboards and then through the air of the room below, through the carpet. And you're right, Jane, connecting with the walls is brilliant because it gives you a conduit to send it down. It works really well. Angela, town near our house was built by William the Conqueror in 1067. Busy boy he was, obviously. Our house was the farmhouse and buildings that served the priory next door. House now too, the convent and the castle. Absolutely fascinating. What amazing energy that must have. That would be absolutely brilliant. Angela, we live in France near Mont Saint-Michel. Fantastic as well. I haven't been to the one in France. I have been to its counterpart in Cornwall. Again, amazing history and energy. Good morning, Keith. Christine, once did a standing meditation and visualized that I was a tree. I couldn't move for ages afterwards. I felt too connected to the earth. You were obviously very happy there, Christine. Your grounding was obviously very good. Look, this is very, you sent me a note. Bless. So grounding is one of the really important things of earth energy, and it's really, really useful. And that connecting with the energy of where you are and the land that you live on, for me, is really, really important. But if you are adding soil to any of your magical workings, then it's really good for fertility. It's soil. You grow your plants in it, flowers, vegetables, fruits, whatever it might be. It's got that real fertile energy to it. Add in all the earthworms and everything else that's in there that are working really hard to make the soil work for all of your plants. It's got a really good fertile energy to it. So it's really good in fertility spells. I think Earth's also really nurturing. It's Mother Earth. She is the planet. She looks after us. So it's got that nurturing energy as well. So it's really good for any kind of spells where you're working to protect children or pregnant ladies. It's very stabilizing. It has got that stability to it. I use it in any spell where I'm working with the family or anything to bring a stability to anything, any situation or any relationship. Grounding, obviously, really, really good for grounding. But earth as an element is really good for manifesting. Manifestation, prosperity, abundance. So any kind of spell that you're working for prosperity, to bring money in, money draw, abundance, anything that you want to manifest, put a sprinkle of soil in, because it's going to bring that manifestation, prosperity, abundance, energy with it. So it's really, really good for any kind of money, wealth spells, anything like that. A little sprinkle of soil in there just brings that prosperity and abundance energy, but also the fertility energy with it as well for new projects, new ventures, new opportunities. So it's really, really good for any of those kinds of spells. Jane, we used to live in a flat that was once the top left corner of the main stand at Ilford Football Club. Kept seeing an old guy in a Mac out the corner of my eye. Guess he was the residual energy of an old Ilford supporter. Or it was Columbo. One or the other. Excellent. Trudy, my house is a miner's house. The garden has earth made up of coal ash and pieces of coal I've found over the years. Another magical ingredient. Coal has its own kind of energy to it as well. So you can work slightly different magic with it. Perfect. Emma, we lived in a clay area. I've tried planting various things, but only our apple tree and olive tree have grown strong, and the fruit they give is lovely. I ground with them. Perfect. It does take a bit of getting used to working with clay soil. Some things like it, some things don't. Anything like camellias, rhododendrons, azaleas love air soil as well. But if you can get stuff dug into it, you can grow other things. It's never going to be very good for things like Mediterranean plants like lavender and things like that. All of my Mediterranean herbs I have to keep in pots because they don't like the soil. But you can work with it. Lizzie, my tree is an ash and there's a lovely one just behind my house. I view the moon often through the branches. Beautiful, beautiful. Jackie, just having a quick look at what the talk was about today. Shoveling horse poop. Will I be lucky today? Absolutely. Horse poop's brilliant for your roses. Lizzie, could it be used in a healing spell? My nephew's currently in hospital, seriously ill. Big positive healing energy to your nephew, Lizzie. Absolutely. It's not it wouldn't be my go-to for healing, but if you feel drawn to it, then use it, because it's obviously your intuition telling you that he needs that earth energy to work with. So go for it. There is no right or wrong. Sarah, I'm on an old Roman road. Interesting, but okay with the energy. Anything Roman I find fascinating anyway, but it's history, it's layers, it's ancestors. So definitely worth connecting with. Definitely. Jane, all this talk of soil is just what I need to get my finger out and turn the compost. Yeah, got to turn the compost. Even that, making compost, is a fascinating process. And it has its own magic to it, absolutely. When you look at soil and you look at the gender, because, you know, we're witches, we like to add genders to all of the magical ingredients that we work with. Feminine. It's Mother Earth, so it's got that feminine energy to it. It is associated with the direction of north on the compass. If you're working with any rituals, corticals, earth works really well to represent the compass direction of north. So if you're in a ritual and you want something to represent, a bowl of dirt is absolutely perfect for the direction of north. Elementals, gnomes. They are just earth. If you work with the elementals, then it is gnomes. You could also pull in the dwarves, the brownies to that as well. There are quite a lot of earth connected in the fairy world. Uses, burying, obviously. If you've got spells, you can bury them in the soil. Please, please, please make sure that the spell ingredients are biodegradable and the pouch that you put them in is biodegradable. If you are going to bury a magic spell pouch, then I would use something like an envelope, paper envelope, to put it in, or wrap it in newspaper or brown paper, because that will rot down. And make sure all your ingredients are natural and biodegradable as well. You can work spells by planting seeds, particularly getting a bit late now, but particularly in the spring. Planting seeds and working magic with the spell for planting works really well. You can work mandalas or sigils with soil, I mentioned before. You can use the soil to sprinkle around to make the patterns, or you can mix it with water, and then you've got mud, basically. Who doesn't like messing about with mud? But you can make mandalas and draw sigils with mud. It works really, really well for that. Tony needs to get your blackthorn in, Tony. Keith, I planted sunflowers and mixed with eggshells to stop the good old slugs, I'm assuming. But eggshells have got loads and loads of nutrients in them as well. Eggshells really good to dig into the soil. Christine, do we use earth for hoodoo? Yeah, it's used quite a lot in hoodoo. Christine, it is a very useful ingredient in hoodoo magic. What's the difference between the elements and the elementals? That's a whole talk on itself. The elements are the compass directions. They associate with the compass directions. The elements are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, if you include the fifth one. They represent lots of things that you can use in magic. They represent lots of directions on the compass. Elementals are the energy of it. So the elementals, gnomes for earth. Don't think of a gnome like the Disney kind of character. A gnome elemental is the whole essence of the earth energy. You've mentioned sylphs. Sylphs are the elemental for air. Don't think fairies. They are swirling energy of air. But it is a whole conversation subject all by itself. But they are different. They are different to the elements. But definitely interesting to dip into. Jane, just taken delivery of some lovely moss green clothes from Wicked Dragon. They do very nice clothes. Perfect for connecting with Earth. If I get spooked in a forest, I can fall in a heap and disguise myself as a pile of mossy logs. Perfect. Perfect. Maria says hot foot powder. You can add soil to hot foot powder. I think it works really well in hot foot powder. If anyone doesn't know, hot foot powder is used in hoodoo and it's used in folk magic. The idea is that your footprints tread in it and it takes it into your house with differing consequences. The idea being that it causes harm, basically. I prefer to use hot foot powder as a protection around the boundaries of my house. But hot foot powder is generally things like chili powder, crushed chilies, black pepper. You can put a bit of salt in there if you want, but earth works really well as well because it brings that personal connection to your home into it as well. Toilet paper rolls work well. Yes, for putting spells in to bury, the empty toilet paper rolls work really well because they're cardboard and they break down really easily. Yeah, excellent. Angela, the Apollo Athena line goes through our garden and under our house, crossed by a hollow way and an underground stream in the garden at the front of the house. Our land is the shape of a pentagram. Angela, that sounds absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. Tony, I don't do Disneyland. No, Disney's depiction of fairies is way off. Unless you watch Spiderwick Chronicles, that's quite close. Tony, right, if you want any information on fairies, Tony, the Morgan Daimler books are excellent. Jane, the problem humans have with elementals is we always try and make them look humanoid in images. Yes, we do need to get away from that. That's what I say with the earth elemental. Don't think Disney gnome, don't think garden gnome, because it's not what they are. They are the essence of earth, and they can appear in many different forms. But yeah, we need to get away from the idea that everything has to look like a human, because it doesn't happen. Angela, Mont Saint Michel is beautiful. I've never been to the Cornish one. They are supposedly very similar. The Cornish one is lovely. It is beautiful. So the other thing I want to talk about connected with dirt is graveyard dirt. I have spoken about it before. It is a very useful ingredient. It does have an awful lot of bad press, perhaps, or myths associated with it. Basically, it is dirt taken from a grave. It is dirt taken from the grave of a dead person, obviously. But because of that connection with the dead, it is used quite a lot in hexes and curses. Does that make graveyard dirt dark, evil? I think it depends on the dirt from the grave or the person that was in the grave. And also who's wielding the spell, because the intent will have a big impact on it. I think it also depends on your own beliefs about dealing with or connecting with the dead. Either way, graveyard dirt carries a huge amount of magical power. I love the peace and tranquility that a graveyard brings. I love wandering around them and investigating. I don't have any qualms about collecting graveyard dirt, but you do have to be careful. The traditional way of collecting graveyard dirt involves digging down quite a way. I think these days it's probably a bit dangerous to do. A, because getting caught, you'd probably get arrested. But B, because I think there has to be a certain amount of respect to the grave of the person that's there. So I think getting your shovel out and digging down several hands full of depths of dirt is a bit disrespectful. There are other ways of doing it. You do have to connect with the spirit of the grave first. You have to ask permission from the person that is residing therein. Do find out the history of the person. You don't really want graveyard dirt from a grave of someone who was a murderer, for instance, or a thief. That graveyard dirt is going to be fairly toxic. I guess unless you want to cause harm with your spell, in which case it would work perfectly. but you still need to make connection with that spirit, and you need to ask permission. Whether you want to connect with the spirit of a murderer, again, is up to you, but be careful, be warned. If the person in the graveyard was a doctor, physician, then the graveyard dirt will have strong healing properties. If it is a grave of a soldier or a service person, then it's going to carry strong warrior energies. So be careful who you choose. I would advise personally just taking a little bit of the topsoil, because that way you can do it carefully and you won't get caught, and there's no disrespect to it. Always leave an offering of thanks. Silver coins tend to be a traditional thing. Folklore does suggest that the real graveyard dirt must be taken from just above the actual coffin, which is why I'm saying let's be a little bit, bring it up to modern times. Because that will get you a night in the cell if you get caught doing that. I personally work with graveyard dirt that's taken from the entrance to the graveyard, the entrance to the cemetery. If you've got the gateway to the cemetery or the graveyard, you've got another in-between place. So you've got that otherworld connection, and there's no disturbing graves. There's no getting arrested for digging up graves. And you've got that added collective energy of a graveyard. You've got the energy from the in-between place. And it's much, much easier to do. So that would be my advice. If you want to work with graveyard dirt, take some from the entrance to the graveyard, to the cemetery. But again, it's personal choice. If you do want to take it from the graveyard, particularly if it is a relative of yours and you want that personal connection, I would advise just taking some from the top. But leave an offering, coins, libations. There has to be an exchange. What do you use it for? Protection is the one thing or the main thing that I would go with. Graveyard dirt is really good for working with protection spells. There are old spells that mix it with salt, with pepper, with sulfur. Hello, haven't finished yet. Which can work for success. But I do tend to, if you're going to work with graveyard, then graveyard dirt protection spells seem to be the most suited. But it has to be your own personal, what you feel, your own personal intuition. Let's have a look. We need Dean and Sandwich to collecting graveyard dirt yet. Yeah. If you want grave dirt from deep down, collect worm cast. The worms have brought it up for you. Nice idea, Jane. Hadn't thought of that. Yes, because they will have dug down and shoved it back up, wouldn't they? Good old worms. We like the worms. Perfect. Tony picked up a bit of grit from loved one's relative's grave, end up having quite a few intense screams. It is powerful stuff. The graveyard dirt is powerful stuff. If you are taking it from a grave of one of your loved ones, then you are going to have that personal connection. Good morning, Heather. Emma, perfect. Ancestor work would work for graveyard dirt too, particularly if you are working with graveyard dirt from one of your own relatives' graves. That would be perfect for working ancestor magic with. Angela, I've used dirt from the grave of our cat just from the surface. He had a beautiful soul and really enhanced my protection spell. It was my familiar in life with me for 16 years. Perfect. Absolutely perfect, because you had that personal connection with it. So it is a really, it's a useful ingredient, but I think unless you are willing to make that connection, and it takes time, you can't just pop along to the graveyard, look at a gravestone and go, yeah, that one will do. Hi there, can I take some of your dirt? That's not going to work. You have to spend time building up that relationship with that spirit. So it's going to involve several visits, and then you have to actually get the graveyard dirt out and away without being arrested, and doing it respectfully. and you have to leave an offering, a thanks of gratitude. So I think in this day and age, graveyard dirt collected from the gateway to the graveyard of the cemetery is a far more viable option, unless you have a relative and you can spend some time there and you know their energy. Be respectful, I think, is the key word there, is be respectful. But it is an interesting ingredient to work with for sure. Angela, dust from tombstones would work as well too, absolutely. Sarah, Nan and Grampy's grave, absolutely, because you've got that personal connection to it. Same applies though, still connect and ask permission first and leave an offering. It's interesting to work with for sure, but I think dirt and soil and earth as a whole are free, cheap, easy to work with, but have so much magic to offer us, and so easy to connect with. Willow Moon, my garden's full of my pet's graveyard, full of love and protection, various animals, and it's tended carefully. Suits my needs, live, protection and power animals galore. Perfect. But it's your garden, so it's got that personal energy to it as well. If you spend time tending and working with your garden, then it will have your own personal energy in that soil as well. I always add a bit of the soil to my witch bottles. When I make a witch bottle to put in the house to bring protection, it's always got a bit of the soil from the garden in it because it's got my energy to it. But soil is so easy to work with and so useful in all kinds of spell workings. And it's got so much magic to it. I think it's one of those key ingredients. It would be in my top list of 5 ingredients, magical ingredients. If I could only have 5, then dirt would be one of them for sure. So that's kind of earth and soil and dirt wrapped up. I'll read my little note. Anybody in the Portsmouth area, Wandering Witches tomorrow, over in Cowplain Activity Centre, 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. Lots and lots of fantastic stalls. It's a really, really nice event. So that's on tomorrow. Anybody online, MoonCon, 2nd and 3rd of July. Lots and lots of different Moonbooks authors giving talks. It's absolutely free. It's online. It's running for 2 whole days. And lots of fabulous talks. So that should be really good too. Links are in the comments. There is no Friday talk next Friday. Sorry about that. There will be back to normal the following week. So you won't see me here next Friday.
Why?
Why? Because I'm on my hollybobs in Cornwall. Eric will be here being looked after by family. The house and Eric will be looked after by family next week. But Pete and I will be in Cornwall. So no talk next Friday, but I'll be back the following week. If you'd like me to talk about anything in particular going forward, do message me. If you want to share any pictures of your garden, that would be fantastic. Over on the Kitchen Witch Coven Facebook page, we'd love to see photos of your garden or anything that magic that you like to work with earth. Do share. We'd love to hear all about it. Thank you, as always, for joining me. I am going to drink my tea and eat my fruit bun and enjoy the rest of the morning. Thank you, everyone, for joining me. Have a fantastic couple of weeks, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Take care, everyone.